Pleasure to take part in this important second reading debate. Great to see so many noble lords taking part, and particularly welcome and congratulate the maiden speakers. I hope they'll be working with all of us, particularly those on the government benches, to constructively improve this bill. For this is a bill that the Green Party welcomes, and my noble friend Baroness Jones of Moulsecoomb will shortly be providing a listing of the many points on which we agree. So I'm going to focus on the big picture context in which this bill comes before us. In doing so, I'm going to respectfully but strongly disagree with the pleasantly colourful opening speech of the noble Lord Hunt of Wirral. For what this bill does is modestly, and we Greens would still say inadequately, seek to rebalance the power of workers and employers, a relationship that was thrown profoundly awry under Margaret Thatcher, particularly by strangling the ability of workers to get together in unions to support each other against the power of the bosses, particularly the bosses of large companies. The imbalance was then enhanced by allowing zero-hours contracts and other insecure forms of employment to explode, working hours to extend across many sectors of our economy, something that was not permitted to happen in many of our European neighbours, who benefit now from healthier, happier workers who have the capacity to contribute to their communities and societies generally, as the noble Lord Monks highlighted. We saw the wage share of workers collapse, the rise in inequality, the inefficient and destructive financialisation of our economy, all of which it can be at least in part attributed to failures to make work safe, fair and adequately remunerated. There was a failure to recognise changing social structures, where the previously unpaid and unacknowledged labour of women has been brought into the paid workforce. That work has to fit around the continuing demands they still particularly face. We are people, as the Right Reverend Prelate, the Bishop of Newcastle and Lord Palmer both highlighted, with responsibilities and needs outside work that our working structures do not adequately acknowledge. And the economy is paying the price of this too, with skills, energy and talents excluded by inadequate labour protections. Now, the Blair and Brown governments failed to redress the imbalance between workers and employers created under the Thatcher government. So we are where we are today. They too allowed the minimum wage to drift downward in real terms, subsidising the profits of giant multinational companies in particular, at the cost of us all. As the noble Lord Barber said, we've seen a race to the bottom in employment, and that has to stop. I often hear from the government benches saying they want to get workers into good jobs. Well, we in the Green Party take a different view. We want every job to be a good job, and those that are unavoidably difficult and unpleasant to have the conditions to reflect the conditions of work. We clapped essential workers during the pandemic, but we didn't lift their pay or the respect in which they were held, and this bill has the potential to do much more than it currently does. I invite noble lords to consider the relative position of sewer cleaners and bankers, and what would happen if we didn't have the former working for us all. Now, a fair society, a fair working environment is particularly important in what have often described as the green areas of the economy. The Climate APPG on Monday had a really interesting meeting about the just transition, and that's something I want to look at in this bill. I'm also greatly concerned about the impacts of new technology on workers, the employers and agency staff at that great parasite Amazon, forced at cost to their health to act like robots, working themselves into the ground, a kind of surveillance that spread to many other areas of work. Workers need the right to breathe at work. Hospitality workers travelling home at night, the Get Me Home Safely campaign, I'm going to work on that. And generally, health and safety at work needs much more attention, and I want to see how we can build this more strongly into this bill.